We've reached Jeonju Hanok Village.
Are those samples?
Anyway, a hanok is a traditional Korean style house where the floors are heated because people sleep on the floor, they eat sitting down on the floor, and everything. There are over 800 hanok in this village, and you can actually stay in some of these. Some of these are accommodations. It's a really nice area.
I think they've modernized it a little bit, so a lot of the outskirts have tons of souvenir stores and street food and places to eat. So not what I was expecting at all, but very interesting.
It's good to walk around and also to get street food. So let's go eat some food.
Good, because I'm hungry.
The first thing we chose to eat is dumplings. This place called DaWooRang is a really famous dumpling store. They're known for their shrimp dumplings, so we got one. And there's also another one which is unlabeled but also looks really weird, so I got that one too.
You can tell that this one is popular because there was a line out the door. But it moves really fast because you order by picking the mandu that's already cooked and waiting at the front. You tell them what you want and they'll serve it up for you.
Let's try the really odd one first.
Cheese? I reckon it's cheese. It looks like a slice of processed cheese. You can heat it up as well, but we chose not to because it's a huge queue for the microwave. And the bottom is still a little crispy. The skin is not stretchy or chewy. You can bite through it quite easily. The filling
tastes cheap, but it's quite flavorful. Pork mince, some glass noodles, chives, salt and pepper.
Very, really simple.
It's a very, very large dumpling.
You can't really taste the cheese.
No. Not as odd as I would have liked it to be.
Yeah, the one we chose is their famous shrimp mandu. It's huge. It's 2,500 won, which is a little spendy, but we'll see if it's worth it because of the size.
I can't tell what that is. The shrimp is heavily overcooked, but it's actually quite tasty. I don't know what the orange thing is. It's a little bit spicy. The skin is very thin, and it's almost not noticeable when you bite into it.
There might be pieces of pork rather than a pork mince. You can see the fibers of the pork in there. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Maybe a little spendy, but still really good.
The price is quite high, but the dumplings are quite large. You can heat it up on your own time. Not quite sure whether it's worth or whether there are other places which do it just as well, but they're actually really tasty. The store is called GyoDong Croquette, and we have the Jeonju Bibimbap Croquette.
They probably know that this is the one that they're famous for because they had a few of them already lined up.
Jeonju is the home of bibimbap, so we thought we should try at least that one.
It's very fragrant.
It's still warm.
Tastes like gochujang.
Predominantly gochujang. The bread is sweet.
The bread is a lot thinner than I thought it would be. Rather than a croquette, like a potato croquette, it's actually bread on the outside, crumbed, and then deep fried. The filling to outside ratio is really good.
But the filling is a lot of rice and some vegetables. It's literally a bibimbap, stir fried, and then stuffed
into bread.
Into the bread. So it's actually really fascinating.
Does it remind me of a bibimbap though? Not really. You could convince me more that it was a kimchi more than a bibimbap. Even though it's lacking the sort of sour, funky flavors that a kimchi would have.
Personally, I think it does really remind me of bibimbap.
Otherwise, it's super crunchy on the outside and very, very satisfying.
I would try the other flavors. We came back again today to try another gyodong croquette because I have so many interesting flavors.
And we really like the first one.
I have cream cheese.
And I have tteokgalbi, which is also another Jeonju specialty, which we will be trying out later.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's not warm this time. This one, the bread is a bit sweetened, but the filling is pretty much exactly just cream cheese. So you can imagine what it tastes like. The cheese kind of separated from the bread and sunk onto the inside. And the bread is really thin, and there's a lot of cheese filling. But it's a bit sad now that it's cold.
Even though it's cold though, it's still crispy. You instantly get the flavor of like fresh bell peppers, fresh chili, that sort of paprika flavor, and then the sweetness from the beef. Very flavorful.
There's still so many flavors we have to try, but I think we will move on to other things.
Cheese hot dog. What makes this one different?
Not quite sure. It seems like the bread is quite thick. But there is a town next door to Jeonju called Imsil, and they're very famous for their cheese. Hopefully the cheese inside is made from the Imsil cheese, but we can't be quite sure. We might as well give it a try.
It's more like a bread than the HwaDeok skin that you would find in Seoul. It's a little savory, a little salty.
It's nice and crispy. You blowtorch the outside for some reason.
The cheese is quite stretchy. It's more like a freshly baked cheese bun than anything else.
It's got some sort of a powdery texture. It might be the cheese so that it doesn't stick together before it's cooked, or it might be the bread, but I'm not quite fond of that texture.
I don't think it's anything way too special. Don't think I would necessarily get it again.
As expected, we should try the cheese from ImSil. They were selling grilled cheese, literally, without the bread.
Seems kind of like halloumi. It kept its shape in a slab, and it looks more like a rice cake than a block of cheese.
They had different sauces which they put actually at the bottom of the cup instead of on top. We got the one they recommended, the first one, which is condensed milk.
Let's try it.
Condensed milk is a little sweet. Not as sweet as I thought it would be. I like the crispness of the outside.
It's like a halloumi, maybe a little bit more stretchy.
Lightly flavored, not too cheesy. Not stretchy, but actually
it's chewy.
It has a nice milky flavor.
It's only a little bit salty, enough to make it neither savory nor sweet. So it's not too rare that they put condensed milk at the bottom. I really like that.
Just a little bit away from the Jeonju Hanok Village, there is an egg tart, which smells like a cheese tart. They're really interesting because they have savory flavors as well as the egg tart. So they have things like squid, garlic, cheese, shrimp. And we just got the original egg tart.
We did see a couple people holding boxes for these, and then we found out what they were, so that's why we're giving it a try. Savory. It looks like a quiche.
Wow, that crust is so flaky. It's so light, it's so thin. It's actually unbelievable.
I don't think it's a butter crust, but the layers are so thin. You can feel each one breaking between your teeth as you go through it. It's kind of like if you layered seaweed, nori, or like the dry seaweed on top of each other and filled it with this creamy, super smooth, soft custard. The texture, I think, is amazing.
It's so soft and fluffy, the egg. It's a little bit sweetened, but there's like an overall like savory flavor to it. I was a little skeptical based on the prices, but man, that's crazy. It is also another day, and it is another egg tart.
Another cheesy egg tart.
This time triple cheese flavor.
It was just so good we had to come back. Let's go.
That crust though, it's so good. This one's definitely not sweet. It's like a cream cheese filling.
The flavor is more interesting than the normal egg tart because I think the normal egg tart wasn't very sweet either. But because there's cheese in here, it's a bit more milky.
They top it off with Parmesan, so for me it has a more savory flavor. For some reason, octopus skewers and chicken skewers are really popular in Jeonju. The one that we chose to get today are slices of octopus leg, which has been battered and deep fried, and you get little balls of them instead of them being on a skewer.
We chose the one with the cheese on it, and we didn't know this, but what's it called? Raclette? When he has a pan of cheese and he slides it on, and we completely missed the footage because we didn't realize he would do that. Anyway, let's try it. Rather than it being battered, it seems like it's crumbed. So the outside is a little more crunchy than I expected.
It's a bit like a Japanese chicken or pork katsu, almost crunchy. It definitely is like that to hold up against the sauce and the cheese they put on top. The octopus is really bouncy, but it's not hard. You don't have to keep chewing like a really tough piece of meat. It will disappear upon a good number of chews. It's pretty satisfying.
It's actually really good. It's not, obviously it's not high quality seafood, but it's deep fried, it's cheese, it's sauce, I love it.
That wraps up the food tour of Jeonju Hanok Village. What do you think of the actual village?
The actual village is really nice. It's quite peaceful on the weekdays. there's not too much going on, but unfortunately that means a couple of stores aren't open. Still, there's plenty of food options because there's always people who want to eat.
It's quite surprising because a majority of these places are either food or hanbok. In terms of souvenirs, it tends to be traditional wares rather than things like postcards or magnets or
Keychains.
yeah.
It's better to go when it's more crowded, so the feeling is more lively and you see more people wearing the hanbok.
If you're in Jeonju for a couple of days, this is definitely the top attraction to turn up and take a look around in, and I can see why.
There's plenty to eat and a lot of it is really good. We did not manage to conquer the Jeonju Hanok Village, but that's fine. We can come back another time. That being said, everything we ate in this video, all the information as to where you can get them will be in our article, which will be linked in the description below.
As to where we are now, follow us on Instagram at TwinSpeakEatGo. We'll see you next time.